Just a few announcements to make and some acknowledgments. And after the mayor makes his remarks, makes his acknowledgments, we'll take just a few questions.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our weekly press briefing. Many of you came out for our amazing Jackson State Championship Parade. I want to thank all of the individuals that made that possible, those that helped coordinate, our own Melissa Faith Payne, those on the Jackson State team, the number of organizations that made donations so that we could put on a very good event. And I want to thank the residents of Jackson because they showed up and showed out. We were not deterred by the rain. Literally, it did not rain on our parade, even though we had moisture in the air, right? But those that came to a person, I've heard time and time again how people enjoyed the event and how amazing it was. And so I want to again thank everyone who made that happen and brought that into fruition. And Chief Wade, it'll be bigger and better next year, right? Melissa, it will be bigger and better next year when they are when they are back-to-back champions. So I wanted to start on the brighter note and speak to that. The other thing that we've spoken to you in the last, I think, consecutive press briefings is for nearly a week we've opened a cold weather shelter for those in need of a warm, safe place during the bitterly cold days. On some days, we had nearly 150 people in our shelters, and this would not have been possible without community partners. And so I'd like to ask that everyone who's representing Shower Power, if y'all could please stand so that we can give you a round of applause for the great work that you've been doing. And while you're standing, I don't know if somebody wants to join me because I have a letter here, an official letter that I've signed for you out of gratitude from the city of Jackson. I will not go through reading this just because it will, yeah, absolutely. I'll come and stand next to you in a minute. But let me say this while they're joining us up here. Not only has Shower Power been an advocate for the unhoused and those seeking shelter during these bitterly cold days, they continue to be an advocate and a resource to the city every single day. I've come out and seen their work firsthand, where many of the individuals that are taking advantage of these services are there. They're not only there to receive, but there's community there, right? There's love that is demonstrated there. And I want you to know that that is the true spirit and representation of what it means to be a Jacksonian, right? We're known for our hospitality. We're known for our love for one another. And while there are many views of how we address the issue of homelessness, this I know for sure is that the word of Christ calls on us to do the things that you're doing. And so I'm grateful for that each and every day. And I want to say that publicly. And again, we would not have been able to stand this up without you. I do want to thank our Chris Gray, along with Constituent Services. Give him a round of applause. For all of their hard work. And then we have some individuals that I want to recognize, and that's Wooten Ministries that is not here with us today. Unfortunately, they are under the weather. Some of the individuals from the family are under the weather, but they've actually taken it upon themselves when some of our unhoused individuals not only need shelter but don't have the ability to travel to that shelter. They've taken it upon themselves to transport many residents, many of the people who live within our city. So please give everybody a round of applause. And if y'all don't mind, I want to take a picture with the crew, right? Can we I think it'd be best if we can stand here in the middle, and I'll get in the middle with you. I guess I just need to slide in there. Yeah, you have the... Now, if you're short and you know you're short, don't get behind somebody. speaking of generosity and a spirit of giving, it is time for March of the Mayors again. I believe we have a representative from Extra Table here, the organization that puts this on. Each year, the mayors of the surrounding communities lead the charge for our cities to provide food donations, non-perishable items to support those that are in need of them most. I can't remember, Chris, the last time we lost. I mean, it's just been, so many consecutive years of the city of Jackson winning that I don't know, right? But again, I know the spirit of Jacksonians. I know that we can win this again. We have been given peanut butter again, right? So it's either we have an abundance of peanut butter or we are very generous. I don't know which one it is, but we'll take advantage of both. And I'd like to ask people again to donate 15-ounce jars of peanut butter in this effort. And there are a few locations that you can, I think you can purchase the peanut butter, Chris, and just leave it at the location, right? Those locations that are working in conjunction with us is Corner Market, which is at 1220 East Northside Drive, Kroger at 4910 Interstate 55, the Jackson Police Precinct 4, which is at 4940 Old Canton Road, the Jackson Fire Department Station 20, which is at 4445 Medgar Evers Boulevard, Fire Station 23, 2640 Raymond Road, Fire Station 28, which is at 611 Terry Road, the VFW Post 9832, which is at 4610 Sunray Drive, and City Hall, right here at 219 South President Street. So again, we're asking everyone to make donations. Consider, while you're out buying your own groceries, those that could be better supported by us all and help make those donations. So we're looking forward to that. Turning to a slightly more somber tone. There was recently a pedestrian accident in which an individual lost their life. Chief Wade immediately informed me of this circumstance and provided some details that I'm certain that not only our media is interested in, but more important, our residents. While Chief Wade is coming forward, I just want to make it clear that it is our goal of this administration, is the goal of this police department, to always be transparent as we receive information and details, and Chief Owens will be joining him. That'll be clear in a moment why, so that you are aware of this circumstance. With that, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, good afternoon. On January 26, we were called to Savannah and I-55 South in reference to a pedestrian that had been struck by a vehicle. Upon our investigation, we were able to determine who struck that individual. He did not remain at the scene. He was arrested on yesterday evening, and I'm very sad to even talk about this because my prayers, condolences, and thoughts go out to the family of Mr. Ricky Taylor, 71 years of age, who lost his life. The suspect arrested was Jeremy Burst. He was a Jackson firefighter. He has been arrested, and he is currently being held without bond. He was off duty when the incident happened, when it transpired, and this is no reflection of the hard work and dedication that our firefighters have here in the city of Jackson. Thank you.
To Chief Wade's point, first and foremost, our condolences go out to the family of Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
And Chief, if you retrieve a phone number for a family member, I'd like to receive that. So our prayers go out to that family. The loss of life is always tragic, and those or anyone responsible, we believe that's already in the process of holding them accountable for any failures that were made. But I also do want to underscore the point that Chief Wade made. that it is not a reflection of the men and women who work each and every day to save lives in our Jackson Fire Department. But we do have a responsibility to be transparent to you. And so that is why we're standing before you. I don't even believe that the media was aware of these details to this point, but we wanted to stand before you and make you aware immediately. So as the investigation continues, you understand what is taking place. Okay. Thank you, Chief Wade and Chief Owens, and thank you, Chief Harmon, for standing here with respect to that. One last thing before I open it up to any questions that you may have. I think in addition to talking about our inclement weather, last week we also told you that there were some more tests that needed to take place with Thalia Mara Hall. I am happy to stand before you to say that all remediation testing is cleared. The remediation is intended to remove asbestos hazards, and the testing has been done to confirm that the hazards have been removed. A few minor repairs were made today. We're only waiting for the fire marshal's inspection that is expected Thursday. If it passes, we should be open by Friday. So again, I want to thank not only Mr. Imad Al-Turik, who has been our third-party engineering services to ensure the program management of this project, making certain that everything was done on time, making sure that things were done in the appropriate order, and to advance the work that is necessary to get our city auditorium back open. That does not mean that this is all of the work that we will be doing on Thalia Mara. Not only do we want to make additional repairs beyond what was necessary just to open it, we want an experience. We want an entertainment experience which is consistent with the 21st century, right? Which is consistent with the beauty of our auditorium on the outside. We want it to be reflected on the inside. And also the upgrades that we intend on making also make Jackson available for some programming that, because we lack some of the latest amenities, we sometimes miss out on. And so that is all within the scope of work that we are trying to accomplish. In order to get to that goal, we not only have to make investments on the front end, we have to be considerate of what investments are necessary on a routine basis to ensure that we can outfit those amenities to our residents. And so that part of that discussion is ensuring that we work with those that bring events to Jackson, those that do the programming in the facility, even looking at new approaches to how we run Thalia Mara, which our Planning and Development Department, along with our Human and Cultural Services Division, have been working on. And so there will be more announcements in that regard in the very near future. With that, I am prepared to take any questions that you may have. Yes, Anthony.
I start with one on Thalia Mara Hall. You mentioned that hopefully by the end of the week it's going to be open. Can you outline some of the efforts that are being made to bring shows back, and do you know if anything's been lined up for the auditorium now?
Well, I lack a schedule of events. There are events that are already on the calendar, and so we can report back to you on that. I can tell you that, outside of the age and the deterioration of the building, Thalia Mara has seen its best days in recent years. Right before COVID, it had its best days, its most profitable year in its entire history, right? We know that after COVID, a lot of our entertainment industry has been suffering, and so it requires creativity. We don't go to the movies, for instance, as we used to prior to COVID. And so I can share with you that we've been having conversations within our executive cabinet meetings about new management opportunities where it makes sense. I don't want to make any announcements today because a lot of those details still need to be ironed out. And I don't want to create an expectation for something that, hey, the pieces may not fit, right? But I will say that we're not only thinking about the entertainment experience, but we're thinking about the associated experiences along with that. For instance, concessions, right? There are some missed opportunities in concessions. While we've had regular events, while we've had Broadway shows, while we've had, I think there were Disney performances scheduled, while we've had all of these things that our residents enjoy, and while we've had some of the more profitable years than we've seen in our history at Thalia-Mara, we still see opportunity that is being left on the table. And so we want to do what makes sense. So today, you don't just merely get popcorn and nachos when you go to the movie theaters, right? So I think in a responsible way, we can provide. We are a city that has culinary expertise. Just as we deal with the visual arts, we deal with the culinary arts. I'd like to see a Thalia-Mara Hall that presents even, some good Mississippi catfish while you're enjoying your show. All right. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I know you're probably tired of this question, but qualifying period for the elections ends on Friday. You have yet to qualify. Are you still planning to qualify, and can you explain some of the delay?
Well, first and foremost, yes, I will qualify. The deadline is Friday. I have not missed the deadline. I will say that I've been busy working, and so there is no message in that other than, I've been working, and I'm the only candidate who's required out of the mayoral election, who's required to do some of the documentation that other candidates don't have to do. That's not a problem, but that's the only explanation for that. But I do thank you for, saying that question again, because I want to make sure that we focus on the things that are happening in this community. Certainly didn't know that the media was coming out, but this past weekend, there was a huge community cleanup effort that took place in South Jackson, right? We had more than 50 individuals that came together. We had Jackson State students. We had, members of our faith community that were there. We had people coming together. I want to thank Representative Fabian Nelson. I did not organize this, right? Even though our solid waste division participated and supported and provided many of the items that were needed for the cleanup, it was Fabian Nelson who sent me a text and just said, will you come and clean up with us, right? I was happy to join them. I was then surprisingly happy that I saw media come out, only to be asked the question about when I'm qualifying for a date that has not yet arrived, right? Let's talk about the fact that Jacksonians are loving on one another. Let's talk about the fact that we're cleaning up on our community. Let's talk about the fact that we want a message for residents that say, look, don't throw the trash down in the first place, right? There'll be plenty of time after I qualify, after I file, for you to pontificate or ask questions. Whether I answer them or not is another story on those documents, all right?
And then just, I'm kind of curious, what's the process going to be like? So qualifying ends at 5 p.m. on Friday. Will we be made available an official list of who qualifies? How do we get the campaign financed?
Charlie, that's above my pay grade. I can't both manage and coordinate the process and be a candidate myself, right? That might be a conflict of interest. I will point you in the direction of who can answer those questions. Angela Harris in our municipal clerk's office, she can speak to that. And then we have election commissioners that can speak to that. But my hands are off that, and I don't want to misdirect you in any way, nor do I even want to pretend like I'm over that process at the same time as a candidate. All right. Yes, sir.
I do want to ask, this is kind of a question in relation to Thalia-Mara from a moment ago, but it's about the zoo. We got revenues for the zoo from October until basically last week, the week before. Revenues for the zoo are still down. Can you offer like any, what's the city doing to kind of help build those numbers?
Well, let me say this. It'd be best positioned for Director Abram Muhammad, who has those numbers. I can tell you, based on the reports that we received, while the new mechanisms to accept credit card payments was installed, and that is a support and a help to us, there are a few factors that I want us to consider. One, that by the time we had stabilized that particular investment, it was already the down period for the zoo. Many people don't go to the zoo when it's cold. We don't actually do many outdoor events, period, when it's cold outside. And so I think that those numbers may be a bit deceiving. If we were in the peak of our summer months, then that may be a better correlation between the increase of our numbers and where we're seeing the difference that is being made by the convenience of how people pay. So that is, what I can speak to. That I know, but any further detail would be best positioned for Minister, he is Minister too, but Dr. Abram Mohammed.
One final question, going back to the,
Yeah, and I'm trying to see the connection between Thalia Mara and the zoo.
north track,
Gotcha.
they bring people into the city.
I got you.
So the other thing I wanted to ask is related to the peanut butter drive. Can you go over those addresses again?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll put them on social media, but since it was requested, not everybody goes to social media. Corner Market, which is on Northside Drive, 1220 East Northside Drive. Kroger, 4910 Interstate 55. Precinct 4, 4940 Old Canton Road. Fire Station 20. 4445 Medgar Evers Boulevard. Fire Station 23. 2640 Raymond Road, Fire Station 28, 611 Terry Road, VFW Post 9832, which is at 4610 Sunray Drive, and City Hall, which is at 219 South President Street. Any fire station anywhere, which would have been easier than them making me read all of those. So, and any Jackson police precinct is available. So, whatever's close, we want to make it convenient for your donations. Please help those that need this type of support. Peanut butter goes a long way, right? It really does. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, President Trump has made a call just to remove all of DEI everywhere. How will that impact the city of Jackson, and what are some moves that you guys are making at this time in regards to that?
I don't really know how it immediately impacts the city of Jackson in terms of us as a hiring agency ourselves. I will tell you that we more than likely have residents that live within the city that are federal employees, and based on this action, their income, how they make a living may be challenged by that. I don't want to take on more than I already have on the table for me, and that's a lot. But I will say that I believe holistically, whether we're talking about DEI, whether we're talking about how we manage an issue of immigration, right? I believe in human rights for human beings, right? And that's what we need to be focused on. How are we providing human rights to human beings? And I believe that some of our differences, if we were better capable of coming to the table together to discuss them, then one, we may discover that we're not as far apart as we believe we are. And two, we would be operating more in accord with the call that has been placed on our lives by our Savior. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.